Jordan Clarkson reportedly wants to join the New York Knicks, as it recently came out that he would very much welcome a trade away from the Utah Jazz and on to the New York Knicks ahead of Thursday's NBA trade deadline. So we have to talk about this. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video as we always do, because it appears as if Jordan Clarkson would love to play for the New York Knicks, as it recently came out from Evan Sidery, or I don't know how to pronounce his name, not going to pretend like I do, would welcome a trade from the Jazz to the Knicks, per T. Jones, the NBA. Clarkson's agent, Rich Paul, met with the Knicks earlier this week to settle previous tensions between Clutch Sports and the organization. Now, here's what we know about Jordan Clarkson. We know he's averaging 17.5 points per game on 41% shooting from the field and 29% from three, while also getting around 6 assists per game. Is the efficiency there? No. But is he a solid player off the bench? Yes. He would be a very good addition to any team that would be able to add him, and he could very much help the New York Knicks and give them some more shot creation and a true lead ball guard to bring off the bench and kind of take over some minutes so Jalen Brunson doesn't have to play 40 minutes every night, as that is a horrible idea. I hate how many minutes Jalen Brunson is playing, and I desperately hope the Knicks get a scoring guard off the bench so they can sit Brunson more, and Clarkson could very well be the piece, as it does appear like Malcolm Brogdon will not be getting traded. Terry Rozier is gone, so it's really now between Clarkson and Alec Burks, and I would prefer Jordan Clarkson, if I'm being honest, and the reason is because the Knicks could use him to trade him down the line. Now, the Knicks registered interest in Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk earlier in January, according to Michael A. Scotto. And then for Clarkson, the Jazz can afford to be patient, which is something as they can't with Olynyk, who's an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season, because Clarkson still has 2 more years left on his current contract, and Utah may need him to help facilitate a bigger deal down the road. Also, with the Jazz in the playoff conversation this season, they could use the points he produces off the bench. Jazz fans will find out how it plays out soon with the trade deadline, yada, yada, yada. We all know that. But look, we know that the Knicks could make a move for Jordan Clarkson. It would cost a lot because it's Utah and there's a Danny Ainge tax on the New York Knicks because Ainge just doesn't like the Knicks. I don't know why people care this much about the Knicks, but hey, they do, and that's the world we live in, and it's whatever. I would love for the Knicks to trade for Clarkson because they could use him for this season and then use his contract, as he does have the 2 more years left, and they could flip him for a star. As the article from Sports Illustrated mentions, that the Jazz could use him to facilitate a trade down the line. The Knicks can use him for the same reason. They could use him to help with playoffs this season, then turn around and over the summer make a move for a star player and have Clarkson be the lead contract. You might be able to keep Quentin Grimes in the process. You could throw Clarkson, Grimes, and 5 first-rounders towards a true NBA superstar-level talent and potentially give the Knicks a full-blown finals contender roster. So I would love to see the Knicks do that. Hopefully they try to take that path at least in some sort, and I'm very curious to see how it all works out with Jordan Clarkson right now. Now, if you look, as mentioned before, Clarkson is a Clutch Sports client, and Clutch and Leon Rose settled their beef. According to a source from SNY, what needed to be addressed was addressed, as both Leon Rose and Rich Paul look forward to what a new relationship can be in the future. The meeting was first reported by the New York Post, and before the sit-down, Rich Paul had been reluctant to do business with the Knicks, who are obviously led by Leon Rose, who's the president, and executive vice president William Worldwide Wesley. Leon Rose was a top agent at CAA before he took over the Knicks, and Wesley was a consultant for the agency before he joined his buddy Leon in New York. And before meeting with Rose on Friday, Paul had met with William Wesley to discuss the issues between them and the Knicks. It's why he's Worldwide Wesley, because he's friends with everyone. He's got all the connections in the world. It's why Quickly was a Knick, and now it's why OG's a Knick. Now that the Clutch Knicks Cold War has come to a close, New York can be viewed as a potential destination for Clutch clients once again. That's awesome. We love to hear that everything has worked out for Clutch Sports and the New York Knicks, because it is more important for the Knicks. I mean, you can't be at war with one of the biggest agencies in the NBA, because, guys, a bunch of targets that the Knicks had going into the deadline were a part of that, and Jordan Clarkson is one of them. He's one of the bigger clients for Clutch Sports. Along with that, there was also DeJounte Murray, who's been linked to the Knicks, Malcolm Brogdon, who has, but it seems as if he won't be traded now. It also seems like the Knicks won't be getting Murray. But it does feel like it would have been a bad idea to keep this Cold War, so good on the Knicks and Rich Paul for ending it. Obviously, Rich Paul was part of CAA before leaving to form Clutch Sports and then taking none other than the GOAT LeBron James with him. And Brian Windhorst talked about this and said there in the major meeting between Leon and Clutch, Clutch Sports is Rich Paul, the two had not spoken since Leon Rose, LeBron's former agent, took the Knicks job. So clearly there was for some reason there was an upset Rich Paul at that. I'm not exactly sure why, but it's whatever. I think it probably initially dates back to the fact that Paul did leave Clutch, or did leave CAA, and started Clutch Sports and took LeBron with him. I mean, LeBron was the best player in the NBA at that point in time. He was the most famous athlete in America, not on the planet. I guess people care about soccer or whatever. But really, I'm going to guess that is what started this whole beef to a degree. And then things just kind of piled up. And ever since the Knicks job, Leon Rose and... I cannot believe I forgot Rich Paul's name right there. It seems like Leon and Rich Paul have really settled it. And that's good to hear. Again, good for the Knicks. Good for everyone involved, but mainly the Knicks. Clarkson, according to reports, has been on the Knicks' radar, and Utah's asking price for him has been high as of last month. Obviously, Alec Burks is another guy who's on the radar and has played for Thibodeau in the past, and the Knicks in Detroit will remain engaged on Alec Burks as we get closer to the deadline. So the price is a worry, and that's my biggest fear going into this, is how much do the Knicks have to pay for Jordan Clarkson? What is Danny Ainge going to ask for, and are the Knicks just going to be like, yeah, no, absolutely not. That doesn't make sense for us. Let's not do that. I said in the previous video, if you're okay with giving 2 first-round picks, Evan Fournier and Quentin Grimes for Jordan Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk, that's your prerogative. I could see the reasoning why. You're not going to need all 8 first-round draft picks to make that trade. But you are going to need around 6 of them. So if you keep those, because some of them are protected after all, and then also you could use Clarkson as trade bait, you could still work out a trade. So I understand why some people would be interested in that. I personally am not. I like to save the trade, or I like to save the draft picks. I think that makes the most sense for the New York Knicks. And I think that is what they're going to do. I don't think we're going to see a move for Jordan Clarkson, despite the fact that he would like to join the Knicks. I mean, the Jazz are kind of going nowhere fast. It feels like they're kind of stuck in the middle right now because they're not bad enough to tank. They're not good enough to contend. It would make more sense to trade Lauri Markkanen and get a bunch of draft picks from the Thunder in the process. Move them there. Move Clarkson. Move all your vets. Probably move Colin Sexton also, who the Knicks could potentially go for, but I think the same thing as the Jazz, Danny Ainge tax. And then figure it out from there and just tank using all those draft picks. Danny Ainge can turn around a tank pretty quickly, as he did with the Boston Celtics. It took them 1 year of tanking to completely fix the roster, because they also had those Nets picks, because the Brooklyn Nets are a poverty franchise. Now, Utah, Washington, and Atlanta are all interested in Quentin Grimes, and the difficulty in moving Grimes is because he's on a rookie contract, and there are no players available who match his salary and ability. And Grimes will probably continue to be in trade talks and probably get moved in the NBA draft or the offseason if he's not moved now. I think Utah's interested in him because of Jordan Clarkson. I think they've been interested in him since Donovan Mitchell. He was one of the main pieces, and Leon was kind of like, I don't really want to trade Quentin Grimes if we're getting Donovan Mitchell. We'll give you RJ Barrett because it just makes more sense for everyone if you guys take Barrett and we keep Grimes so we can keep some defense. But that didn't exactly happen, and here we are. The Knicks have now beaten Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs, and the Jazz are not that good. So it's fine, but now it might be okay to trade Grimes. I mean, you have OG. The defense is good as it is. It wouldn't be the worst idea, but only if you can get a pretty much a bargain deal. I mean, you'd have to give Grimes and Fournier, and then if the Jazz are like, hey, we don't need a first-round pick because we understand that Clarkson, his numbers are inefficient, so we'll take 3 second-rounders instead. Then, yeah, go and do that trade instantly. But if you can't get that one done, especially because Deuce McBride is also off the bench, and he's a great defender too, just go for someone cheaper. Go for Alec Burks then. I like Jordan Clarkson because of his contract. I think it would be an easy contract to flip for a star, But it's also like, hey, if you can't do it, don't overpay for him. Though the Knicks probably should make some move. So if you got to give a first, if you got to give Quentin Grimes, if you got to give Evan Fournier, and in return you get Jordan Clarkson, there's definitely been worse deals out there. I cannot imagine it would be an unprotected first. I think it would probably be the Dallas pick or something. And that's a good trade for each side. So I would like the Knicks to do that. Get Jordan Clarkson off your bench if you can get that trade done. Just Fournier, Grimes, the Dallas first. Maybe throw a second at them if they really want. And then hope that trade works. I think that would be huge for the New York Knicks, and it would help the Jazz kind of figure out their direction, as they could just buy Fournier out, let Fournier sign with some contender that needs a shooter, and then continue to build around youth instead of just trying to make a makeshift contender because Lauri Markkanen's pretty good. I just don't think that makes sense for them. So hopefully that's what they do, and the Knicks can be beneficiaries in landing Jordan Clarkson, then flipping him for a better star in the summer. But we will see. The trade deadline is 2 days away. I cannot wait for the deadline to see what the New York Knicks do, and really what the rest of the NBA does in general. The trade deadline's become one of the most fun days of the year if you're an NBA fan. There will be a few different moves that'll happen. Anything involving the Knicks we will talk about, even if it's not even directly related to the Knicks. Say a different Atlantic team or just an Eastern Conference team makes a major move. We'll make a video on how it implicates the Knicks. Darielle and I will probably do a whole trade deadline wrap-up of what the Knicks did, what they didn't do, how the trade deadlines affected the Knicks. It'll be a really fun video, so you guys are going to want to check that out, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Comment down below if you want Jordan Clarkson on this team. What would you trade for him? Pitch me some trades. Pitch me some trades in the comments. I love those trade pitches. So do that. I'll be sure to respond to you guys. I try to respond to every single comment. Sometimes I forget. I'm sorry. And outside of that, guys, have a great day. Go Knicks.